This was the breaking news. Breaking news out of Boston. Brad Stevens stepping down as the head coach and will replace Danny Ainge as the president of basketball operations. That was announced literally 30 minutes ago, right before I got on air. I went on air. This was the news out of Boston after their first round playoff exit to the Brooklyn Nets. This is a shattering news for a number of reasons. One, you're talking about a Boston Celtics franchise that has so much history and so many expectations to win. And it was reported by ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski that Brad Stevens was just a little bit tired of the grueling nature of coaching. He was kind of just being torn down. He was kind of laboring through it and decided that this would be a perfect fit to be the coach, to transition into a front office role. And this is what I would say about Brad Stevens as a head coach. We know that he's been a winner everywhere he's gone. He set NCAA records at Butler, took Butler to the NCAA championship game twice. And yet, when he came to Boston, he's reached the playoffs in his past 7 straight years, 7 consecutive seasons. The Boston Celtics have reached the postseason under Brad Stevens. The only time they missed was in the first season. And in his history, his record as the Boston head coach, 354 and 282. 56% he's won in his games as a head coach in the postseason. This is the big stat. 38 and 40 as a head coach in the postseason. And I think that at some point, what the Celtics were seeing was, and probably what he was seeing was, there's a limit to how far he can lead this Boston Celtics team. And you look out on the at the horizon and what the immediate future in the Eastern Conference will look like, and it is not a pretty sight. If you're the Boston Celtics, you got the Nets that are still there. The Milwaukee Bucks aren't going anywhere. Jason Tatum is fantastic. We know Jaylen Brown got hurt, but Kemba Walker's knees have been a liability, so it's not surprising that they opted for a change, but it is surprising that it was the head coach that now became the president of basketball operations, and Danny Ainge stepped down from that role. So that is major news out of Boston. Huge news out of Boston that we will continue to discuss as the show progresses. Need some more time to process this. This literally happened right when I went on air, and the Celtics clearly needed to go in a different direction. They needed a new voice. They needed someone else, and that's been one of the knocks on Brad Stevens as a head coach, was perhaps his inability to groom and grow and coach superstars. And Jason Tatum has evolved into one. Jaylen Brown is a star in the NBA when healthy. Kemba Walker, unfortunately, it's a shame that the Celtics have kind of run into some buzzsaws the past couple seasons. I think the biggest indictment was last year against the Miami Heat. That was a series that they should have won. And I think that was the season, because you look at Brad Stevens, he has reached the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times, 2017, 2018, and 2020. That's normally pretty good. I mean, those types of appearances normally warrant you staying in your role, but clearly he was a little bit exhausted and exasperated from that job.